So I mean, if you kind of look around where we're hunting here, it's really open country. And one of the problems with this is the deer just never really pattern. You know, we've got 400 or 500 yards stretch along here, and those deer can literally walk anywhere through it. So kind of one thing we've started experimenting with, and it seems to work pretty good, is creating some trails through here. And there's a lot of blowdown in here. There's just tons of blowdown. These aspens get old, the wind gets up, and they just fall down. So deer are like people. They're lazy. And if they don't have to walk over the blowdown, they won't. So what we'll do long before the season is we'll come in here and, you know, you can see we've just kind of moved all of these blowdown trees off to the side. And then what we'll do is we're just going to walk this trail as much as we possibly can and get it set in. So what we want the deer to think is this is actually a deer trail. Now the other thing we've done is we're starting to create a lot of mock scrapes along these trails. And what that does is get the bucks traveling the trails, visiting those scrapes. And we'll do all this long before the season opens. You know, people always wonder, you know, when do you want to start with the mock scrapes? I don't think you can start too early. You know, typically they don't really get going until later September, early October. But once we have them established, then those deer are used to seeing them there. They're used to traveling these trails. So let's go check out a couple of our scrapes right now, and I'll show you what I mean. So here's one of the scrapes we've made earlier in the year. And when you make a scrape, there's a couple things you need to do. You want to have it at the base of the tree, but it's really important that you have a lick branch above it. And what the deer like to do is they actually rub their preorbital glands around their eye on here and leave scent. And then what other deer will come is you'll actually watch them mouth it, and they'll lick it all off. And then they rub their own scent on it. So it's nothing to have, you know, 4 or 5 or even 6 bucks using the same scrape, but it's really important that you have that branch right above it. And, you know, we've seen it countless times where, you know, the deer be working the scrape, then he'd work the lick branch. So we like to check these pretty often. Anytime they get any debris or anything in them like that, the buck's gonna know they're not active. So we'll come along, we'll just clear it out a little bit. And I like to have my scrape about 18 inches in diameter. I like to start them fairly small, let the deer actually dig them out more. The other thing you need to do is scent your scrape. And that means putting urine in it. And I'm not a big fan of using commercial scents. I think there's just too much danger of, you know, passing disease and things like that along. So you'll probably find this hard to believe, but human urine actually works just as well. And there's been countless studies. You know, Dr. James Kroll, one of the leading authorities on deer, says, you know, actually human urine is as good as buck urine. And, you know, we're not endangering any deer that way. So make sure you drink lots of water before you come out checking your scrapes. And I think I'll save you the demonstration on that part. So once we have some scrapes start to get active, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a ground blind about 20-25 yards away from them. And if we have 2 or 3 scrapes get active, we'll set up 2 or 3 ground blinds. And what you really want to do is set your ground blinds up not only for the prevailing wind, but also for winds, you know, that aren't normal. So that way, you know, the wind usually comes from the west here. So, you know, this blind's perfect right now. But if we get a north wind one day, this blind is shot. So we'll have other blinds set up pretty much to cover every wind condition. Now the other thing we do is we run a lot of trail cameras, and this does tell us what bucks are in the area. It tells us where they're traveling, although we are kind of forcing them to travel. But the most important thing it tells us is what time they are traveling. And that's what patterning bucks is all about. And this year we've seen a great 4x4, and we have seen a really, really big 6x5.